Today is Halloween day of Red Ribbon Week, and I brought my black cat to celebrate Halloween. This is Moki, and she is anything but spooky, but she does not want to be held anymore, so I'm going to put her down. Last video, we went over place value and reviewed how to make a place value chart, how to write words in different forms, and lots of those things. So we're going to review that just a little bit again, but since the last video is there, you don't really need it in this video, you can just refer to the last one. So for rounding, which is what we're working on now in class, and we will be working on for the next 2 weeks, you still need to use place value. So if I gave you a number like 5,157, you can round this number in many different spots. So if you are working on a worksheet or something else and it asks you to round, it'll either say round to the nearest 100, nearest 10, nearest thousands, any of those things, and that is why place value is important with rounding. So if this were to ask you to round to the nearest 10, I'm going to write nearest 10 right here. You're going to want to look at the tens place to see, so that way you know which number you're going to be looking at to round. The number that will either change or stay the same. So if this is nearest tens place, we're going to circle the tens place. And we know that's a tens because ones, tens, hundreds, thousand. And you can write your place value chart if that'll help you to see which number is in which place. So this is the 5 right here is in the tens place. Now when you're rounding, you're going to want to look at the number that's directly to the right. And in this case, in the tens, you're going to draw a little arrow to the ones place because that is the place directly to the right. And we have a 7 in the ones place, so I'm going to underline the 7 because that will be the number that determines if you round up or if you stay the same. So the 7, if you're wondering, how do you know if it'll make it go up or stay the same? When you're rounding, it either has to be 5 or greater to go up. If it's less than 5, so 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, you will stay the same. So a 7, you have to ask yourself, is 7 5 or above? And yes, 7 is greater than 5. So that means our 5 is going to change. It's going to round up. So when a number rounds up, all you're going to do is add a 1 to it. So 5 with 1 more is 6. Now everything to the left of 5, so anything that's greater than this tens place, since we're rounding to the tens, will stay exactly the same. So the 5 will stay the same, so you bring it down, or I'm going to write it over here. The 5 will stay the same, the 1 will stay the same, but the 5 changes. It goes up 1, so it'll become a 6. Now everything to the right, so this direction of the number that you're rounding, will turn to 0, no matter what. If it stays the same or if it rounds up, those numbers will turn to 0. So this 7 is going to turn to a 0. And our number when we're rounding to the nearest 10 will become 5,160. Now let's refer back to our original number. I'm going to erase the circle and the underline and my little arrow. Let's refer back to our original number, which was 5,157. If I was rounding this same number to the nearest 100, I'm going to have to circle the 100 place. And we know ones, tens, the 1 is in the 100. So I'm going to circle that. Then you look to the right, exactly 1. And we have our tens place, and in the tens place, it's a 5. So I'm going to underline the 5. Is 5 or more? Yes, 5 is 5, which makes it round up. Okay, so the 1 will turn 1 more, which will make it a 2. And everything to the left will stay the same. So 5,000. The 1 turns to 200. okay? And everything to the right of that, so the tens and ones, turn to 0. So I'm going to show you my board as it is right now, and then we'll talk about how we can look at this on a number line. So here is what we have so far, how you rounded to the hundreds, how you rounded to the tens, and how you can determine what you're going to do. So those are, right now, all we have. Sorry, I stepped on my little kitten. He's okay. All right, so when you're looking at a number like this, you can make a number line. So if you're making a number line and you're trying to round to the nearest hundreds, you're going to want to make sure you write on the number line which two hundreds it'll be between. So if we have 5,157, we're going to want to start with 5,100. The number that's already there. 5,100. Okay? Then we're going to work our way up to the next. So at the very other side, very end, you're going to want to make it the 100 that you would possibly round to. So if it's 1, you would add 1 more to it, which makes it 2. So we would be going all the way up to 5,200. In between there, we're going to have lots of different numbers, but I think we'll count by tens. So 5,110, 5,120, 5,000. So as I was saying, sorry, we had to make our number line between the two hundreds that would determine which way we round. So 5,157 would be 5,100 all the way to 5,200. And in between we counted by tens. So we had 5,110, 5,120, 5,130, 5,140, all the way through to 5,200. So this is what our number line would look like. And on our number line, we're going to have to determine where this number, 5,157, would go. So if you're looking at your number line, you're going to look for our tens place, and our hundreds place will be the one. So it'll obviously be in between. But you're going to look at the tens place and say, oh, it's 5,150. So you're going to look in between 5,150 and 5,160 and say, it would probably be about here, closer to 5,160. So there's our number, the one we started with. And you're going to wonder, is it closer to that direction or that direction? So is it closer to 5,100 or 5,200? Well, it's past the middle mark, which would be 5,150, which means it's closer to 5,200. Now the number lines can get a little bit confusing if you don't understand what numbers to put on it. So if you're making your own and if you need more explanation on which numbers you should put in your number line, just ask me. Otherwise, sometimes they provide you with number lines, and that makes it a little bit easier to determine where your number is and which side it's close to. But for the most part, rounding without the number line can be easier for some people. Rounding with it is easier with some people. And if you really need extra help, make it a place value chart like we explained in the last video. And then that's how rounding works. If you would like for me to do another video like this and give you another example or explain something a little differently or in more detail, just let me know. Leave a comment on the video or ask me on a Google Meet or message me on Class Dojo. There's lots of options to get these questions to me, but that's basically the basics of rounding. Now, some of you guys have been working on rounding to the nearest hundred. Some of you have only gotten to tens, and that's okay. The most important part is to know which place value you're going to be looking at to see if it'll go up or stay the same, and then to the right of it to determine if it will go. So, like I said, if you have any questions or need me to explain anything more, just message me or comment or anything just to let me know. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this video and it was helpful. I hope that you guys will let me know if I'm doing what you need, or if you need extra support, just let me know, okay? Thanks, guys.